Okay, I'll move on with the introductions. Again, my name is Wanda Dade, and I work in the Office of the Chief Administrative Officer.
I'm Courtney Highsmith, the Deputy Chief Administrative Officer at State Highway, and Laurie Gowdy is the Chief Administrative Officer, and the Office of Equal Opportunity falls under our portfolio. Thank you.
You're welcome. Adrienne?
Yes, good evening. I'm Adrienne Monroe, and I am the Acting Director in the Office of Equal Opportunity, and I'm also the ADA Title II Coordinator for the Office of Equal Opportunity, SHA.
Thank you. Okay, for the purposes of the public meeting today, again, we're discussing the draft 2025 ADA Transition Plan. The discussion topics will be SHA's policy on non-discrimination and equal access under the ADA coordinator, grievance procedure, self-evaluation, the current compliance percent complete by ADA element, prioritization and methodology process, Geographic Information System, GIS database. In the ADA Transition Plan, you will see it as the MDOT SHA Pedestrian Facility Viewer. Then we'll talk a little bit about the funding commitment that SHA has for ADA improvements, and we'll end with the questions and comments. I did want to say comments. We will be collecting comments. So if you, and I hope you do participate and have comments, the comments will become part of the ADA Transition Plan. If you look into the plan, you'll see, I believe it's Appendix E, and it states that it's public comments. Obviously, it's blank, and that's where we will be putting the public comments. Again, the questions for purpose of the meeting today has to be in the question and answer text box, and we will read them at the end of the discussion. The SHA policy on non-discrimination and equal access under the ADA. The MDOT State Highway Administration, SHA, is committed to a policy of full accessibility and does not discriminate in the provision of any of its business activities. The administration is committed to upholding the intent and the spirit of the Americans with Disability Act, ADA, and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 to the fullest extent possible. This commitment extends to all programs, services, and activities of SHA, such that no qualified individual with a disability shall be discriminated against on the basis of his or her disability. The policy goes on to say it is SHA's responsibility and desire that no person in the state of Maryland be excluded from participation in, be denied the benefits of, or be subjected to discrimination under any program or activity supported by SHA based on their disability as provided by the Americans with Disability Act of 1990 and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973. It is also the responsibility of each and every SHA employee to work cooperatively to achieve the goals and objectives of this statement. SHA is fully committed to the goal of achieving equal opportunity and non-discrimination for all persons in their interactions with SHA. The ADA coordinator. Public entities that have 50 or more employees are required to have a grievance procedure and to designate at least one responsible employee to coordinate ADA compliance. The ADA coordinator's role is to coordinate SHA's effort to comply with the ADA and investigate any complaints that SHA has violated the ADA. The coordinator serves as the point of contact for individuals with disabilities to request services and other accommodations or to file a complaint with SHA and for the general public to address ADA concerns. The ADA SHA coordinator, again, is Ms. Adrienne Monroe, Acting Director, and ADA Title II Coordinator in the Office of Equal Opportunity. Adrienne's phone number is 410-545-8477. You can also reach her and you can submit any ADA concerns through the grievance procedure to our SHA ADA email address, and that is shada@mdot.maryland.gov. I'm going to go over the grievance procedure and who may file a grievance. Any person with a disability or his or her designated representative who believes that they may have been subject of disability-related discrimination on the basis of a denial to access to facilities, programs, or services may file a grievance or complaint. Individuals who may not be disabled themselves but are known to have a relationship or association with an individual with a known disability and have been subjected to discrimination on the basis of that association may also file a grievance. Furthermore, any individual who feels that they have been retaliated against or opposed any act or practice made unlawful by the Americans with Disability Act 504, or because that individual made a charge, testified, assisted, or participated in any manner in an investigation, proceeding, or hearing under the ADA/504 may file a grievance. For purposes of ADA, a person with a disability is an individual who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, or has a record or history of such an impairment, or is perceived or regarded as having such an impairment. The grievance procedure, this form is the form that you will find on the SHA internet, and this is the form that you will fill out should you have a grievance or complaint as it relates to ADA. This particular form is a PDF. We are in the process of making a fillable form, so you'll have a choice. Either way, it's very important for you to complete the form in its entirety, specifically your name. We need contact, phone number, or email address. Most of our grievances that we receive, we end up having to call for some type of clarification, so we're going to need contact information. If you're able to provide pictures of the concern, please submit that along with your grievance form. We'll talk a little bit about the self-evaluation. So in December of 2006, State Highway completed a comprehensive statewide self-evaluation of its pedestrian facilities. In other words, it went out and it did an evaluation of all the roadways and highways that SHA owns, constructs, and maintains. SHA is responsible for what we would call the numbered highways, Route 97, Route 140. A lot of these roadways do have names, but keep in mind that we are, state highways across the state from Garrett County all the way to Ocean City. But we are only responsible for the numbered highways. So a self-evaluation was done specific to ADA. And those elements that were looked at were sidewalks, ramps, driveway crossings, median treatments, and access to bus stops. We do not maintain or construct any bus stops, and we're not responsible for them. However, because we are responsible for the sidewalk and ramps, the access to those bus stops, that's where that fell in line. So the result of the self-evaluation identified problem areas that required improvements to achieve accessibility. The result of the 2006 self-evaluation found the following elements to be non-compliant with the Americans with Disability Act accessibility guidelines, or known as ADAG standards. 48% of the sidewalks, 94% of the curb ramps, 80% of the driveway crossings, 51% of access to the bus stops on existing sidewalks, and 57% of the median treatments were not compliant. I also want to state right now that this was done using ADAG standards, and of course this went back to 2006. As of January of 2025, the U.S. Access Board has now moved to PROAG standards, public right-of-way accessibility guidelines. So, but at the time this was done, they were using ADAG standards. So this is what they found at the time. And I wanted to share, and you will find in the draft ADA transition plan this same chart. In 2011, where we started, and in 2024. So sidewalks have now, this is compliant. Sidewalks are now 72% compliant. Curb ramps are 71%. Bus stops, about 73%. Driveway crossings are up to 63%, and median crossings are up to about 89% compliant. So it's a lot of work to bring the facilities up to compliance. The methodology and prioritization is used to determine where the greatest need for ADA compliance exists. It's looking at non-compliance, safety, and demand. We're looking mainly at 14 elements: sidewalk width, sidewalk cross slope, missing sidewalk, ramp compliance, ramp obstacles, missing ramp, driveway compliance, median clearance width, median level landing area, bus stops, sidewalk clearance width, protruding objects, and vertical elevation. And in the ADA transition plan, you will find detailed information about the methodology and scoring that's used for the projects and the prioritization to get the projects done and to bring the system up to accessible. What you will not see in the transition plan are any type of engineering standards and things like that. You will find that in the accessibility policy and guidelines for pedestrian facilities along state highways. Let me also say that this particular manual, because of the change from ADAG to PROAG, this manual is currently in draft and being revised so that it's brought up to standard with the PROAG standards. But there is a link to this manual in the ADA transition plan, and it's also on the SHA internet. So if you do want to refer, what you'll find is a diagram similar to the picture that I have on the right-hand side. This is describing the ramp and the slope, the yellow detectable warning surface. So that's the type of information that you will find in this manual. So again, it is linked both in the ADA transition plan, and there's a separate link also on the SHA internet. The Geographic Information System, GIS database, our Office of Highway Development has used this system for many years. We now have a public-facing version, so this is available now to the public. Basically, you can drill down into a particular area that you may be traveling in or want to travel in to see if the area is accessible or not. So I just went in and just selected a particular area. This particular area is Route 185, Connecticut Avenue, and 547. I believe it's in the Kensington and Montgomery County area. So when you go on to this link, it's going to look like a very small, tight state map. All you have to do is continue to zoom in. The area will populate with the blue crosswalks automatically. When you get to the area that you want to be at, you have to put the layers on that you want. So I have the layer list showing. You'll get that layer list by clicking on the red diamond area. The sidewalks and the SHA maintained roadways and the county boundaries are already selected, but I selected bus stops, the sidewalk ramps, and the sidewalk ramps. So in looking at this particular picture, what you're seeing is that on 185, the red area, that's the SHA maintained roadways where it's red. So if you come up from the bottom of the picture, you'll see 3 green icons. That means those ramps in that area is accessible. If you come up on the left, you'll see the bus stop. So if you're a user of the transit system, you can put the bus stops in. If you travel on up on 185, you'll come to another intersection where you'll see 5 green icons where that intersection is accessible. If you go to the left, you'll come up on an area where there are 4 red icons. That area is not accessible. it's not that you can't get through, but there's a possibility. It could be a protruding object. It could be because I don't have that selected, but it's red for a reason, and that's because it's not fully accessible. But I think it's a very useful information, and we're glad that the public has access to this database information now. Again, you can click on the icon, click on the link. Just remember to continue to zoom in to get to the area where you want to be at, and then you have to apply the layers that you want to see in the database. So we're going to move into funding commitments for ADA improvements. So to achieve its mission and ensure awareness and compliance with the Americans with Disability Act, ADA, SHA created the Sidewalk Reconstruction for Pedestrian Access Fund. We call it Fund 33. The scope of that fund is used for upgrading existing non-compliant sidewalks, curb ramps, and connecting short gaps between existing sidewalks where no other roadway project is currently planned, and it complements other funding sources that also support ADA compliance. So Fund 33 is just one funding source. We have other funds, we have other projects, very large construction projects that also incorporate ADA into those projects. So if it's a large construction project, if there's sidewalk, intersection improvements, all of that will be done in that particular large construction project that could be being done with Fund 78 or 68 or whatever it is. But this particular fund is used specifically for ADA improvement. So where it's talking about connecting short gaps, I'm going to go back to the GIS page. And again, if you'll see where Route 185 has the one intersection at the bottom is accessible, and up at the top we have this area accessible, but when you go to the left you have an area that's not accessible. Excuse me. We can't see what the next intersection may look like, but it could be accessible. But the point here would be we could possibly use Fund 33 to bring this particular area into compliance because it's a gap in between potentially areas that are compliant, and Fund 33 would be used for something like that. So I also wanted to show the historical expenditures. Now this is going from 2015 to FY or 2024. Of course, we're at the mercy of what the budget itself, and you will see that in 2015, this fund was upwards of $16 million, and by the time it got down to 2024, we were only receiving just a little about $4.8 million. So it's a big decrease, but that's what we were given. We also wanted to share the projected expenditures for 2025 through 2030. The good thing here is that you will see that the budget is back up quite a bit, averaging around $10 million through 2030 for Fund 33. So from here, the next steps, we wanted to share this information with you. Of course, this is a summary of what you will find in the draft 2025 transition plan. I do hope you have the time to review the plan. So if you have not already done so, if you could do that, it would be very helpful. Along with that, I would ask that you also take a review of the accessibility policy and guidelines for pedestrian facilities along state highways, because that's where you will find all of the design standards. Also keeping in mind that the accessibility policy and guidelines manual is in a draft form and it is currently being revised. Once that manual is revised, we will go back and revise the ADA transition plan, removing ADAG and replacing it with PROAG where it needs to be inside of the ADA transition plan as well. Once you have read through the draft transition plan, if you have not already done so, if you have the time, we would ask that you complete the ADA survey. You can do that two ways. There's one area of the survey where you just answer two questions. Also, there's an area there, it's really one question, and an area for you to put your comments. It's electronic. Fill your comments in. When you submit this survey, it will come directly to us. So you can either do the two questions or you can do the entire survey that includes some informational questions. So that's your choice, but we certainly are looking for your comments. The comment period will end on December the 3rd. So we have about 2 weeks for you to, if you haven't already done so, to review the plan and offer your comments. Again, don't forget that the comments received will be incorporated into the 2025 ADA transition plan. We will not include any of your name or your contact information or anything like that. However, if you do put a question there, somewhere on that survey form, and we will need your contact information so that you can receive the answer to your question back, but we will not put that out in the ADA transition plan. After we close out the comment period and incorporate the comments, we will be finalizing the ADA transition plan. It will be reviewed by Federal Highway Administration. Federal Highway Administration did review the draft plan that we have now out here now, but when we incorporate the comments, they will take the final review and hopefully approve the ADA transition plan as it is received to them. Here are all of the links that we have. You can use the QR code off to the right, and you'll be able to get the draft ADA transition plan, the accessibility policy guideline for pedestrian facilities along state highways, and the survey. We do have a link also for Baltimore City ADA information. A lot of times we are asked, because our headquarters is located downtown Baltimore, a lot of times we're asked for Baltimore City's information. State Highway does not have jurisdiction over the city roads, but we did put the link there in case you are interested in their ADA information. You can click on that link and get your information from Baltimore City as well. That gets us to the end, and I want to thank you for attending the public meeting, and we are going to open it up for any questions that might be in the Q&A. Adrienne, do you have access to that?
Yes. We have a question. How do you access the entire survey with the informational questions?
You can use the QR code. You have choices. You can use the QR code itself, and that will, when you do that, it'll put you over into the SHA internet page that has all of the information on it. It has the draft ADA 2025 ADA plan, the survey, and the accessibility policy and guidelines are there, along with the Baltimore City link. So all of your links, if you use the QR code, it will take you to the page that has all of the links for you. Do we have any more questions, Adrienne?
That was the only question I see.
Okay. Okay, if that's the last question, then I think we can end the session. We will be having another session on Wednesday this week. You're welcome to reattend if you like after you've read the transition plan, should you have any questions, or again, you're more than welcome to submit the questions. You can even submit them through the ADA email address as well.